Hello, and welcome to the More Cheese, Less Whiskers podcast. My name is Dean Jackson, and today we've got a great episode I'm excited to share with you. We've been talking with Dino Dondiego, who's from New Jersey, and he has invented a process that can help millions of women with, or anybody really, with thinning hair. He's created a unique process that's non-surgical and the most effective way to get to really thicken hair that's completely natural, called InvisaBlend. And he's really at the point now where he's starting to spread this idea through he has a network of people who are affiliates of his program, who do the actual installation of this. And we talked a lot about some different options for how to scale this. And you'd be surprised at how the direction that this ends up taking. It's a little bit longer, but I found it really fascinating. Plus, somewhere in the middle here, you get to hear about my movie idea, the world premiere of my movie idea that I've never shared with anyone publicly. So there you go. You got that as a little Easter egg within this episode, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So here we go.
Dino.
Hey, Dean Jackson, how you doing?
I'm good.
Pleasure. All right.
Well, I'm excited.
Yeah,
about
me too.
We're recording right now. Excuse me.
Okay, great, Dean.
And so we got the whole hour to hatch some evil schemes here.
All right, sounds great.
Why don't you kind of set the stage, kind of tell a little bit about what you do, and then let's see where we may be able to find some opportunities here.
Okay, sounds great. All right, so I invented a non-surgical way of adding hair that's revolutionary. I have a hair business. What I mean by a hair business, I put hair on people in a non-surgical way, and mostly women. We do men, but we mostly target women. And most people will think, is it for bald women? Well, yes, it is, but mostly not. Mostly it's for the industry has women that have hair that they're unhappy with because it's thinned out or it's been very fine and they just want more hair. So in our industry, we have things like hair extensions, which are very well known. And just to give you a rough statistic, about 98% of all salons in the world do hair extensions because that's how much people want more hair. And then there's hair systems that's more for a deeper level of hair loss. And then, of course, there's wigs. And then there's other things like powders that hide the scalp. And then there's
right.
Also,
yeah, that's
I
remember
know
that.
About that. Okay.
Yeah, I remember there was Ron Popeil had that great looking hair.
Ron Popeil had that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what I want to say about that that's interesting is that it's a love-hate relationship. And the reason why it's a love-hate relationship, it's a joke. People laugh about it. They make jokes about it. There's jokes on videos about it.
Yeah.
It's an enormous seller. And
that's amazing.
It's enormous. It's unbelievable how much sales is in that. And Topic was the first brand, and then these other brands came out. And the reason why it's so popular is, number one, is because it works. But people can order this powder online, and there's different types, in the privacy of their home. So whether it's a man or a woman, and it can get delivered at their home. The husband or the wife doesn't know what's in the box. They take it, they go in the bathroom, and they secretly put the powder on, And see what I mean? And they hide their thinness because it clouds the scalp. See that point?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a love-hate relationship because A, it works, but B, they hate it because it's like the powder that's in your printer. It's very fine and floats in the bathroom. It gets all over the place on the walls and the ceiling. It gets all over the place, but it works. but at the same time, they have to do it every day. They got to watch. Don't call in the rain or brush up against something. So you see that point?
Well, it was very funny because I went out earlier this spring. I had a chance to go out and have dinner with Shep Gordon, who was in the movie Supermensch. Yeah, so I was at his house in Maui, and he was good friends with Ron Popeil, and he's actually was in it was a funny story that he ended up being one of the guys in the actual commercial for the GLH, great looking hair, whatever the can thing was.
Okay.
He was saying how the funny thing was, he sprayed it all in, but they were under the lights for the shooting and stuff, and it was all heating up and running down his face and the whole.
I know. It's a mess. You know? I know.
Yeah.
So it's a really tough. But isn't it interesting? It's a love-hate relationship like that. It's so much used,
Yeah.
So that's the industry. In summary, there's hair extensions. Each one of these things are very specific. So they only cover specific categories. So if you're getting a hair extension, it's mostly for women, if not all for women, and they're just putting hair extensions around the perimeter of your head, above the ear, nape and neck, around the perimeter. If you put them on top,
thicker and longer, right?
Yeah, thicker and longer, but not on top. So if you have thin hair on top, it doesn't work. And then secondly, if you do a hair replacement, non-surgical, they first of all shave your existing hair to then put, in layman's terms, a hairpiece on top of your head.
Yes.
And then sometimes they say, we won't shave your head, so then they put a hairpiece on top of your hair. You see what I mean? Which still destroys the hair. And then there's wigs, which covers the entire head, and it's a very emotional thing for people because they're covering as opposed to enhancing, say. Yeah. And then after that, there's the powders, and then there's growing solutions. But all the growing treatments, something interesting about all the growing treatments, no matter what treatment, minoxidil / Rogaine, there's pills you take, there's topicals, they all fall under the same exact category. They do one of three things. Number one, they do nothing. And it's different with everybody. Number two, they might slow your fallout or your thinning, maybe, and it's possible. And number three, they do grow hair. But if they grow hair, they'll never grow a substantial amount of hair. It's usually little fuzzes, a little bit. Yeah. And that's what makes them bona fide to say this grows hair, because it does. But most of the public doesn't realize that anybody that buys any of these things, they have to buy it under the understanding that it might do one of three things. You're going to buy it knowing it might not do nothing, buy it, know it might slow down the fallout, or buy it knowing that it might grow, but if it grows, it's not going to grow up a substantial amount of hair. Yeah. So see that category?
Yeah.
So now here's something really interesting. All these methods of adding hair have one thing in common, a common denominator. They all add hair, but make you lose hair in the process. Even a hair transplant takes hair from the back and puts it in the front. So they all have one thing in common. They all have the same principle, that they all add hair and make you lose hair as a trade-off of adding hair, which is very counterproductive. Isn't that counterproductive? Right?
Yeah, and then you end up seeing, what's interesting is you see the people who've had the graft or whatever, where they take that row from the back and then they implant it on the top, and meanwhile the rest of the hair surrounding where it was is going to get thinner, and they're left with just the plugs that they put in there, or they end up giving up shaving it all, and they have the scar tissue on the back where it shows where they've lost all of the rows there, the where they'd harvested the hair. So there's a lot of there's a lot of that, and I know it's probably improved by now, the technology of they're not taking clumps of it, but individual individual strands and stuff, micro things. But how is yours different? So what was your aha that said there's got to be a better way?
So here was the first aha. I wanted to add hair in a way that kept the existing hair healthy, that respected all the existing hair, because all the other methods were trading off of losing some of yours to add more, which doesn't make sense to me. To me, I use the analogy, that's like going out to dinner and having a great time and the food's delicious, but you get sick the next day. It would make no sense. But and that's the analogy that I use. So my aha was I have to find a way of adding hair that is non-evasive, that enhances the person's hair, that respects their existing hair, that will keep their existing hair healthy. So, and that's the main theme, or that you might call my unique selling proposition, is that I have the only method that adds hair that keeps the existing hair healthy. So as a metaphor, it's like saying I have the only restaurant that the service is good, the food's delicious, and you won't throw up the next day.
Right.
That's how I kind of look at it, That's how I kind of look at it, that sort of thing. So what I did is I invented this procedure that's non-surgical, and it's more of an enhancement. It's an easier thing to jump into because people don't have to cover their hair. They're not replacing their hair. See, this isn't categorized as a replacement. This is more of an enhancement. Okay. So, as an example, if I went to a lady and if the lady says, well, this isn't my hair now, I said, no. You would be lying if you're saying that. It's like makeup. The makeup enhances your existing features, and this works with your hair and enhances your existing hair by adding single human hairs in between it. Okay? That's how that's done. You want me to explain how it's done to get a little
understanding just on the big pic, because I'm very curious about how do you install it, let's say.
Install it, So here's what I actually did. I invented something called a microstrand, and my whole idea on this was to say, how does hair grow out of the human head? Well, we all know it grows out of the human head one hair at a time and in all directions. So I said, I have to find a way of adding one hair at a time, but a way that's non-surgical and a way that's safe for the existing hair. So to make a long story short, I came up with an invention of a microstrand. I invented something called a microstrand. A microstrand is a filament or a thread, if you will, as fine as a hair. So if somebody was standing in front of me and I was holding one of these microstrands up, first of all, they wouldn't see it unless they got really close. And they would say, oh, you're holding the hair. Because it looks just like a hair, feels just like a hair. But it's not. It's a microstrand. It looks just like a hair except for two things. It's 10 times stronger than a human hair, and the filament is actually translucent. So you can actually see through the filament even though it's as fine as a hair. Isn't that interesting?
Wow, yeah.
So now when you take this filament and you, like if I film it, I have to hold it against something blue or green even to see it. Because if I hover over my skin or my scalp, it just disappears.
Okay.
So what I do is I take that filament called a microstrand and I network it together, forming sort of like a spider web with different openings in it. So now it has different openings, we go by millimeters. It might have a 20 millimeter opening in one area, and a 10 millimeter opening in another, and a 7 in another, and a 13 in another. And the reason why I design it with different openings is because when you look at the person's head, you have to figure out what's the percentage of hair do they need here or there or this area. So as a hypothetical, let's say you have somebody, let's take a worst case scenario, you have somebody that's a woman and her hairline receded. I'm going to put a 1 millimeter in the first inch because she has no hair to contribute. And a 1 millimeter, when it attaches to the scalp, you see nothing and there's no hair to blend through because they don't have any. And let's say they have 50% loss on top, I might do a 13 millimeter. And let's say in the back, they just want a little more length, I might do a 20 millimeter. So does that kind of make sense how I'm explaining it, how I mix up the millimeters?
And then Yeah. How does it then, attach or install to the?
Right. So now here's how it's attached. So we customize each one of these, and we have a microscopic tip instrument that has a microscopic tip hook, like a little crochet hook, but it's microscopic. Okay. It's only big enough to grab one human hair at a time. So now we're grabbing after we make the microstrand customized, we're taking one human hair at a time, and we're locking one human hair at a time onto those microstrands, one hair at a time, spread apart. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes.
And now, if you hold it up, you don't see the microstrand. It looks like single human hair spread apart, just floating in the air.
I got it. Okay. Yep.
All right. So now, to answer your question, how do we attach it? There's actually 3 methods of attachment, and there's a reason behind it. And the reason behind it is to help the widest range of people. So number 1, I invented something called strand locking. So now I take a single one of those microstrands, and I grab about 7 or 8 of the client's hairs, their own hairs, and we twist one single microstrand around 7 or 8 of those hairs, just using that microstrand, a specific tying technique that forms a baby anchor that if you look at it with a magnifying glass, it looks like you made a little baby ponytail with one of those microstrands on 7 or 8 hairs. So you got to picture that, right?
I do.
So now it's a little baby ponytail, if you will, and we make those around the perimeter area where you're adding and in between. So to kind of put the story together, if you had Mrs. Jones there, you would customize the microstrand with different millimeter openings with single human hairs on it. It would come in, and then you would make the little ponytail anchors, and you would make a ponytail anchor, and then you would attach it to the finished microstrand that looks like sort of a spider web or a web, and you would attach it, comb or blend the hair through. Attach it in another spot, comb and blend the hair through. And you sort of work it in or roll it in because the microstrand forms to the head.
Yes.
All right. Now, here's something really interesting. 50 to 60% of the hold on it is self-held without even the strand locking because the microstrand webbing is soft and mushy and flimsy. So if you hold it up, it'll kind of look like a wet tissue. It'll just be flimsy.
Right.
That forms to the head. And as it forms to the head and the hair comes through, that alone has 50 to 60% of hold.
Wow.
That kind of makes sense how I'm explaining it. Isn't that something?
Yep.
So let's say that I didn't even do this strand locking. I just took Mrs. Jones as an example, blended the hair through, and she was an acrobatic and she did 3 flips backwards. It would stay on because it self-holds about 50 to 60% of the way. But still, in addition, we make those little ponytail anchors around the perimeter and in between as we're blending it in. So now it's part of the client. And this is really important. Isn't it cool? And
How
it's
long
really
does it
important it takes about 8 weeks to prepare the design for each individual person. But to blend it in, it only takes about 2.5 hours to blend it in. So it's not that long to blend it in. So the first method of attachment is probably the most popular because people don't have to think about their hair anymore.
Yeah.
Meaning you get up in the morning, it's your hair. You go in the shower, it's your hair.
Yeah.
You dive in the water, it's your hair. So you forget about it, And the unique thing about it is you treat this hair 100% the same way. I mean, you wash it down to the scalp,
style
brush
it,
it down
and
to
you style it, and you spray it, and you do all
style it, yeah.
As you still color it and all that?
You can still color it and all that, yeah.
Okay.
As opposed to any other method, you're sort of limited on what you can do and what you can't do. There's a big difference. Matter of fact, just on that note, I did 30 videos that are called 30 advanced benefit videos because this has 30 advanced benefits that don't exist anywhere else. And I made individual videos to educate the public about it. All right, just the advanced benefits, So that's one attachment, right? And the client will come back for little touch-ups, but they're minor little touch-ups because as the hair grows, you have to re-anchor it, re-secure it.
Yeah, that's what I wondered.
Like
Is how often do you have to do that?
Yeah, so usually about once a month. So almost think of it like a hair color or a haircut.
Yeah.
You go into a salon or a hair place and get your hair colored, and you go back once a month to get a touch-up. So it's a minor visit. It's just about the same money and time as a touch-up of color or a haircut, that sort of thing.
Dino, I have to tell you something because you're the only person I can tell this story to. That about 20 years ago, do you remember, of course, the hair club for men? Who was the guy? Yeah, Cy
Sperling. Cy Sperling.
Cy Sperling. Okay. Well, you're going to love this story. So I had just moved down to Florida. I was watching on TV, and he had infomercials. He was running infomercials, and he had said that he invented this idea that he stole from the cell phone industry, where he decided that the big obstacle for people in getting hair was the cost of the hair. But he said he saw how the cell phone companies would give people a cell phone when they signed up for the monthly cell phone service, right? And he thought, well, why can't I do that? I'll give people the hair when they sign up for the monthly maintenance program. And that's how he kind of invented that monthly payment idea. And my mind, I started thinking to myself, because I'm always thinking from a marketing standpoint, that's a brilliant idea, right? Like make it easy to get the hair. And then once people get the hair, they're going to want to keep the hair because now it becomes part of them and they would be, insecure, be noticeable without it if all of a sudden you went from having hair to not having hair. And that people must, their hair payment would be a pretty high priority, right? That they would not default on their hair payment. But then I thought, well, what happens if they do default on their hair payment, right? And I immediately had this vision of this, underworld of these hair repo men, And I had this whole Quentin Tarantino underworld movie called Pulling Plugs. That was this underworld of guys that have to go out and repossess the hair when people default on it, and it was funny because it was a mockumentary kind of movie, where you could imagine them setting up shop in the back of some seedy barber shop, and in behind them is a plaque with a scalp that they've pulled the plugs on. It was pretty funny, and I thought, man, you would appreciate that.
And you're right, you can make a movie out of that, absolutely. And you can make a movie out of that. That's a comedy and stuff.
Pretty
funny. That is really funny. Yeah, but you're right. It was a brilliant idea because you know what it really was? Leasing hair, just like leasing a car. You know.
Yeah.
So it is a good idea, without a doubt. But you're right. Either way, you always have to make the client happy. That sort of thing. Yeah.
All right.
And something.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's really talk about the marketing of this. So what's you got? It sounds like you got a revolutionary product. You invented it. That's a cool thing. So how do you market this?
So I have this business now as a B2C and a B2B because my objective, my goal, my mission is to make this available. It's called InvisaBlend. So my mission is to make this available worldwide to everyone. So when I thought about how do I do this, from a marketing standpoint, I need to shortcut it as fast as possible because it would take a really long time for me to open up place after place after place. Like Hair Club, it took them 20 years to open up, maybe 80 places. Then I got bought out by a conglomerate. So what I did is said, you know what? I'm going to make this into a training course. So what I did is I made it into a training course, and I first licensed it. But the training course is all digital. So as an example, I have about 14 places as of now, but they're licensed places. So, and I have them internationally. And I started doing this before I even started marketing it, because what would happen is these professionals, meaning salon owners or hair replacement owners, they would see my videos and they would go, "Wait a second, do you teach this?" So, of course, the light bulb went off in my head and says, "Well, I should teach it, I should get it out there." And in the beginning, I was having people fly to me and I was teaching them hands-on, but then I said, how do I market this to get it out there to a larger mass and scale it? I said, you know what? And what happened was, when I was training it, they would say, "Well, can I videotape it too? Because I need to watch this over." So then I went, well, wait a second. Everyone seems to elevate towards wanting a video to refer back to, because I had to show them steps. So I said, I'm going to videotape the whole training. And I made it even bigger. Instead of this training how to do it, I see my business here from a B2C standpoint does everything from marketing, how to consult with it, how to sell it, how to present it when they come in, how to design it for each individual, and then lastly, how to apply it and maintain it. So I made videos for all of that, how you're supposed to market it, how you're supposed to explain it on the phone, how you're supposed to present it in person, what samples you need, how you're supposed to design it, how you're supposed to order it, and lastly, how you're supposed to apply it. So I made a video on all those segments. And now I have that packaged to sell. So that way people don't even have to come to me. So as an example, I have 3 companies that are licensed in UK. Never met them. I've seen them on, on Skype, but never met them in person, because I could just send it to them. You see? Yeah. So from a marketing standpoint and from a standpoint of reaching my mission, what I want to do is, yes, I have a B2C business, but I'm growing that to a certain point. But my big thrust of energy is really going into educating the professional industry about this technology through videos, and providing them with a video course so they can buy these video courses. And then from the courses, they can learn, educate their people in their audience in their areas, and that's how we get it around. So any questions about that?
Yeah. So who do you, who's your audience there on the B2B side? You're trying to
B2B side.
Attract professionals. Yeah. Who are you, who's buying these? Are they doing this and learning it and going to do it exclusively, or are they doing it as an add-on to their salon, or their, as an option for their wig business or their other hair treatment places?
That's a great question, because in the beginning stages when I was figuring this out, I first studied franchising. And then I said, well, franchising, it has a problem with speed, because you've got to find somebody to open up an entire business. And it's a speed thing, so it slows up. So then I said, you know what, let every business do what they're normally doing. I'm not going to interrupt them. Just use this as an add-on service. So you're right, just as an add-on service. That way, the people that have hair businesses, and what I mean by hair businesses, it could be salons, it could be hair replacement companies, non-surgical, like a hair club. It could be hair replacement companies like Bosley. That's a medical, transplant replacement. It could be cosmetic companies of any sort that do anything like Botox or anything like that. So any business that's related to anything to do with hair and beauty, that's my audience, business-wise.
Okay. All right, got
then
it.
Then it could expand past that even to individual hairdressers too.
Yes.
Because if you train the hairdressers learn it and go inside a salon and do it within the salon they're working, and then introduce it to the owner, and then it expands.
So on a
that's
scale of 1 to 10, how difficult is it to learn how to do the installation?
Right. And that's probably the biggest thing. You hit it right on the head, because the learning of the marketing, I have videos to give them. The learning of how to present it, all that stuff before the application is pretty easy. The application, I say to people, it's just like a dance. So if it takes about an average of anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks of practice. They will learn it in 1 hour, but they need to continually do it. So I use the analogy like a dance. So if I wasn't a dancer and I went into a dance school and I spent 1 hour and they showed me a dance, the instructor might say, hey, you got the dance down. But let's face it, if I walk out, I can't go and do the dance. I'm going to be sloppy and miss steps.
Right.
So the instructor would say, now, even though you got it down, Dino, I see you got the dance down. Now I need you to go home and practice, or practice with your wife and keep doing the dance, because next time you come to me, if you don't practice, you're going to be missing probably 10 of the 20 steps or 15 of the 20 steps.
Yeah. Do they learn, can they practice on a mannequin, or do they have to practice on a live person, or?
Yeah, both. So that's another great question, because what they should do is they should look at the steps on the video. And I break it down to miniature steps that how to hold the finger, how to twist it, everything. They should do it on a mannequin first, repeatedly, until it becomes sort of unconscious to them. When they get it, just keep doing it. And then there's a point, yes, they should do it on a friend or a relative or somebody in the salon, just to go away from the mannequin, because there's an emotional element of, all right, I'm not doing it on a real person. Now let me do it on a real person to see how they feel, how they react. So they should do it both like that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And so that, if I'm breaking down the process here of the jobs to be done, what has to actually happen, is how, when you say it takes about 8 weeks to prepare it, so that's being done not in the presence of the ultimate person, right? The user. Exactly. So if somebody wants to get this done, they would come in and get evaluated, I guess, or get
you could say evaluated. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you take measurements, or you take photographs, or what do you need to do to determine that this area needs to be 10 millimeters and this area is 13, and so you're creating the blueprint for their web, right? Right,
exactly. Their microstrand. That's a great question too. Here's exactly what you do. You sit them down, and here's another thing. My thought pattern all the time is help the widest range of people. Help as many people as you can. So this method, number one, under sort of that window, is that this is the only method that's a cure-all, which I call a cure-all, meaning it's also the only method in the industry or the world that can adjust to anybody's hair situation.
Yeah,
no matter what their hair, they could be completely bald, they can just want length, they can just have fine hair. So that's number one. Number two, in reference to helping the widest range of people, is even price. So let me give you a hypothetical, and this is sort of going to tie into your question about how you design it. Number one, let's say you have Mrs. Jones again. She sits in the chair and she goes, oh, my hair's thin all over, and, I like to have fuller hair all over. And I go, okay, and I'm examining it and saying, okay, you do have thin hair all over, but the top is much more thinner than the sides, and the sides is a little bit thinner than the back. So let's say they have 3 stages, hypothetically speaking. They got 50% loss on the sides, and they got 40% in the 50% loss on the top, 40% loss on the sides, and 30% loss on the back. So I would first tell them and give them a price for doing it all over. And then I would say, after I give you this price, you don't have to do it all over. We could just do the top and the sides, and it's still a balance, it'll look like you just grew hair in the top and the sides. And if that's not good, I can give you different measurements of just doing the top or portions of the top, and therefore it'll look like you just grew hair on the top. So does that make sense? So it gives them flexibility of different options. So every single customer, and this is what I teach my so-called affiliates, every single customer, you want to be able to help them in the widest range possible. You never want to give them one price. Give them multiple options that they can pick from, right?
Yes.
That point?
Yep.
So now let's tie that into designing it, your question of designing it. So what you would do, you would measure an area. So you would say, this top area here from the front of the hairline over the top of the head to the crown, let's say. Let's say that's 8 inches. And let's say the volume loss is the same. You would measure that specific area and saying, the volume loss on the top is very specific. And it's from front to top 8 inches, side to side 7. So that needs a 13 millimeter. And then I teach what a 13 millimeter gives in sort of volume and what a 10 millimeter gives in volume, what a 20 millimeter gives in volume. So they would go, okay, this 8 front to back by 7 side to side is going to be a 13 millimeter. And then you would go on the sides and go, okay, they need a little bit of hair on the sides. That's going to be a 15 millimeter. And the back, they want more volume or length, but it's a little fuller than the sides and the top. We do a 20 millimeter. And they would literally, there's a diagram on the order form that you would draw panels. So the top panel would be 8 by 6 or 8 by 7 M13. The sides would be separate panels that would be M15, and the back would be another panel that would be M20.
Yeah.
Now there's one more element to that. Each individual millimeter opening comes in different densities. And I did this for very specific, very in-depth customization. They each come in a 25 percentage density, a 50, a 75, and 100, and even 125 and 150. So what a 25% density means is that if you take 1 millimeter, they're like little diamonds. So if you got like a 13 millimeter diamond opening, if that was filled with a 25% density, it would mean that each line, think of a diamond, has 4 lines that constructs the diamond. It would mean that each line of the diamond is only filled 25%. And that would mean that each line is 75% bare.
I got
right?
you. Yep.
See? So if you do a 25% density, it means that 75% of each line is bare. And if you do a 50% density, it's 50% bare, 50% filled. And that's another way. So now you're mixing the diamond openings by millimeter by the density. And that gives you terrific control.
I got it. Then when somebody does this, somebody doing this evaluation and presentation of the options for people, they say, okay, so this is what I want. And that's, they come to a price for this, right? Is that you are able to tell them what it is, and they decide to say, okay, I want this. And then does the affiliate then build the microstrand?
And the answer is no, because that would be no. They don't, because that would be another great question, because that's a very common question that's always asked by every affiliate. They're almost biting their nails, go, so I got to build this thing? Oh, no, you don't have to, because it would take 8 weeks to build it.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah, it really takes like 8 hours a day, 6 days a week for 8 weeks to build this. That's how intricate it is. And so, no, that would slow them down. So now they just draw on the diagram form, because what I did was simplify this. Like when they get the course, they get about 20 different designs that show, look, this design means she's got this much loss on the top and this much on the side, and this design means this. So I give them a lot of samples so they understand how to simplify this. And all they do is follow the order sheet, and the order sheet will show the diagrams. They just follow it, and they just fill it out. They email it in. The order is confirmed. Then it's ordered. It's custom made. When it's finished, it's shipped to them, and then they have to apply it. So that way it's simplified.
Perfect. Yes, very good. And then they do the maintenance. They do the
and then they do the maintenance on it. Yes. Yeah. So
Okay.
then they apply it, and now they get a big stream of new people, which ties into my book. So I wrote a book, and of course I wrote it from 90-minute book, which I thank you very much. It was a terrific service. All right, so it was a really terrific service, and I was able to take my brain and dump it out into a book, which is really very important. And I just finished the book, so I'm in the beginning stages of marketing it, because part of my marketing plan is to educate the professional industry, and therefore they educate the end user. And the book is a great avenue to do that, So I'm, starting to take that book and start pushing it out. I'm in the very beginning stages because I just finished it. But it's going to be a great marketing tool, a great educational tool to then educate the professional industry. So that's going to be a great leverage. Yeah, which is really good.
So did you the book that you wrote is for the professionals, right? That's who's
for
you're
the
introducing
professionals.
this?
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
So that book is specifically for B2B to educate the professionals.
Yeah,
and
gotcha.
That way the professionals educate the end users.
Yes. Okay.
Really
so now, so where's the, have you connected all the dots in terms of, do you already have affiliates that are fully operational that are out doing this now?
I do. And now this leads to another marketing area or arena. See, now I learned as I go, because in the beginning I was training, people were flying to me and I was training them. Then after that I put together a video course,
Right.
Then after that, now I wasn't even advertising it yet. I'm not even to this day, I'm still not advertising it yet. So I still have to market it to B2B. But in the meantime, as I'm putting this together, I'm getting these professionals, meaning salon owners and hair replacement owners and hairdressers, they're contacting me saying, do you train this? So now I have the course together, now I have the book, so now I'm in the very beginning stages of marketing it. But then I learned something. Like right now I have 14 licensees, as we call them.
Okay. Yeah.
And because they're licensed, I put together a licensing agreement, and I specifically license them, and I have 14 of them. But now I found something very interesting. The 80-20 rule started prevailing. So now what I noticed, these people are paying money to get licensed, and the majority of them are taking the course and doing what other people do with books and audio tapes and not fulfilling them. Okay?
Right.
So believe it or not, they have all the tools to do it, and probably about 20% of them are producing 80% of the sales of this, and probably the other 80% of them are only producing 20% of the sales in it. So
I gotcha.
I have a marketing formula to up that and fix that and sort of boost that up. And one is, what I want to do is, and I'm just in the beginning stages of this, I want to do webinars, because I'm always thinking of how I scale this up, how do I get it out to more people. So the one thing I'm going to do is do webinars, because webinars I can build up. A webinar to me is event marketing. I'm going to build up event marketing, building up to the event of a webinar. I want to be able to do webinars at least once a month. I'm going to get pools of these professionals into a webinar, and I'm going to educate them about this, and then give them a special opportunity just for that webinar, and give different special opportunities for each webinar for them to buy into this course. So now what I'm doing, I'm popularizing the concept to more people, because it won't even matter if some of these people don't follow through on it. To an extent, all right, I still have another idea for that, but to an extent, because if I can get it out there and sell it by the hundreds, so to speak, now I'm getting more and more people having the course, which ups the opportunity. More and more people, meaning professionals, will get it out there to the end user. And the idea is to get it more well-known out there. And plus, that'll build more revenues for me to do more other marketing, to get it out there more.
Sure. So let me ask you a couple of questions then about this, the scope of the market and stuff. How many women need this or would be candidates for this or be attracted to this?
To this. Good question. So the women that are attracted to this is anybody that's just not satisfied with the volume of their hair.
Yeah,
so
I got that.
It's really that simple. Meaning, so it could be a woman that has nice hair and she just likes longer, fuller hair. That's
it'd be more. It'd certainly be mostly more attractive to a woman, particularly with thinning on top of their hair, more than.
If you were to say
if they just want more thickness, the extensions and stuff are certainly a temporary kind of option there, right?
Well, they are, but the problem with extension, see, remember the category?
Yeah, no, I know there's a lot.
Yeah, that really makes the other categories sort of obsolete, because if somebody was going to get extensions for their hair length, they're better off getting this around the perimeter because it's healthier
how much
for
does
their
this
hair.
cost?
Anywhere from $700 to about $4,000. And it does go past $4,000 if somebody gets very elaborate hair. There's kinds of a high-end European hair that's elaborate that you don't need, but that's very spoiling if you get it.
Yeah.
But to hone down on that, like a $700 area is just for maybe filling in a little crown area. It could be on a guy or a lady. And then think of the opposite of filling in the whole head around $3,900 or $4,000. And think of any price in between those two zones, any. So I could tell somebody, pick a price between those two zones, and I'll show you. By the square inch, by the square inch in a sense, And it's interesting that you said that. You brought up a very interesting point. What I do, I try to be very transparent, very honest, and I want the affiliates to be very open and honest with the prospects and also with the clients of this. So one of the elements of being very open, when they sit down in the chair, they're supposed to take the price list, put it in their lap, and show them how the price is determined. So you're involving the client, so the client could be part of the price. So
what do they want?
That way
and then how much is the maintenance, the servicing of it every month?
The servicing. So in my hair studio, it's $83 for a month. So it's sort of parallel.
It's not much more than getting a regular
haircut or something like that. Yeah, so that's a minimum thing. And each affiliate, they can charge whatever they want for that, whatever they want to get paid for an hour. If they're in a rural area and they want to charge $40, it's fine. If they're in a high citified area and they want to charge $100, that's fine. But, somewhere in that window like that. Yeah.
Okay. I got it. So if you took one idealized unit of an affiliate, that would be like the what you're trying to duplicate here. What would be the distribution of those? Like, how many could you have is it on a per capita base? How would you run into exclusivity kind of thing on that? Would you say, am I the only one in Winter Haven, Florida, or how many could you? How big of a population center do you need to have this work?
Right. It's sort of, I thought that through very carefully too, and it's sort of endless because what I did is I made different levels. So you can buy the course non-exclusive, meaning you're paying a lower price just to
Yeah.
learn the course, and it's completely non-exclusive. If you want exclusive rights, then I have different levels. I have a different course for a 5-mile radius, a different course for a 10-mile radius, a 15, a 20, a 25. So I just leave that open. So that way it helps the market, because let's take a hypothetical. Let's say you have a small salon that only has 2 people in it, and they go, I can't afford that much. I'm going to spend $5,000 for the license, let's say, or for the course, or they got a special deal on it through one of my webinars, and they spend less, and that's all they can afford. So they're just looking, all right, I got non-exclusive rights, it's fine. I'm learning this course. I can get a lot more clients and help a lot more people. Then let's go on the other end of the spectrum. You got a larger salon with maybe 20 operators in it, 20 chairs in it, and they go, hey, no, I don't want anyone doing this in my radius. Now, as long as there's no one in the radius, I would say, hey, your radius is open. We can give you 5 miles to 25 miles. And I give them a price. They're just going to pay for that. So now, if it's open and they want 25 miles and there's not anyone within the radius, then I would say, okay, you can buy 25 miles. Here's the cost. The cost is just predicated on the size of the radius that they want, and they buy it. Now they have exclusive rights, although they have to upkeep those rights by producing a certain amount, because I would let them pay for that exclusivity, but within a certain period of time, that money is going to be good for that exclusivity. And then after that, as long as they're producing a specific amount of sales and clients, then they can keep that exclusivity. Yeah, that sort of thing,
And
so that way I can get it out to more people.
Yeah. And you have you're the exclusive provider of the actual
product, if you will.
The product, okay.
Yeah, because it has to be custom made. Yeah.
Now, if somebody becomes an affiliate, you got these 14 affiliates right now, and are they're in charge of that? They market it locally, they find the clients locally, they sell the clients locally, they fill in the order form and send it to you. You make the what do you call it, actually? So I'm using the right word.
Just call it a hair process. Yeah, just hair process. I make the hair process.
So you make the hair process.
Or the microstrand. Yeah. Okay.
You make the microstrand. You send it to them. They install it, and then they keep the relationship with the thing. So your involvement with it is you're making the microstrand. That's it.
Exactly. So that builds up. I become sort of like a wholesaler in a sense, because now they learn how to do this, and they learn how to market and sell it. And now what they're actually doing is buying the product from me, because
now
I'm
what
the
about
one that
this other?
it.
Yeah. So it might be one thing that I might think of as an option for you is to actually do the marketing and find the people and have them be the certified installers or whatever in that area, so that all they're doing is, in addition to just the ones that come through their salon that maybe they run into, that you're sending them business as well, and they're just doing the consultations and the installation and the maintenance. That would be, if you think about it from the affiliate standpoint, because I would start things with thinking about what would be a dream come true for them, right? A dream come true for the affiliate would be that they invest in learning and becoming licensed to do this, and that they learn the skill, they invest in that, and they're going to have something else that they can do. And then that people come to them to get this done. Not that now they learn the skill and then they're going to have to learn now how to market the skill and sell it. In addition, there's a lot of moving parts there, and you're introducing a lot of variation
in that process, right? Like you said, the
Yeah.
80/20 is applying because that 20% of them are naturally marketers and salespeople, and the other 80% are maybe really great installers and relationship builders, but they're not marketers. So they're struggling because they just don't have people to work with.
Yeah.
Now, it's really interesting because I'm becoming fascinated with this, what's possible now in the cloud here, in this whole world.
Right.
Like there's I read an article in the Chicago Tribune about there's a new concept now called ghost restaurants. Have you ever heard that term?
No. Sounds interesting. What's a ghost restaurant?
It really is. So it's in New York and Chicago. There's a company that the headline on the article was 9 restaurants, 1 kitchen, no dining room. And it was essentially what they're doing is they're running 9 restaurant brands that only exist online. They only exist on Grubhub and Seamless, where the food ordering apps, and they don't have any dining room or retail location. They run out of a commissary kitchen where it's just the utilitarian, and they prepare the food for delivery through Grubhub and
But how does the food get delivered? It gets delivered
through
the
app, through Grubhub and Seamless. They're like Uber for food delivery in a way, right? So people go on the app, they see all the things that are available, they order from this restaurant, and Grubhub brings you the food, right? So they partner with restaurants who maybe don't normally order delivery, but they'll partner with the restaurant and they say, hey, we'll buy the food from you, kind of build it into the price kind of thing. You sell it to us at wholesale basically, or whatever, at a margin, and we'll deliver it to your clients, to the people, our clients, the people who want it. So what I've been thinking about is what if I break down that concept, what it's got is the essential item here is the kitchen, right? That it's really in the cloud. All these restaurants can exist, and it's all going into the same kitchen, right? And so the way you're describing this same thing, you've got the microstrand kitchen, that is making the actual microstrand, but it's still the things that have to be done locally are they have to sit in the chair and do the consultation, the assessment, and order, and then they have to sit there while it's being installed or applied, and then they have to physically be there while it's being maintained. Those 3 moments in time require local, synchronous, and scheduled interaction with somebody, right?
Right.
Every other element of it can happen behind the scenes, right? Like you could run the advertising, even if you just take Facebook as an example for this, right? Or Instagram, you take those 2 online things that if you have a way to identify people who are attracted to this, that think about this as an option, that start exploring it, getting educated and motivated about it enough to want to set up a meeting with somebody, like to move forward. All of that you could do remotely for an affiliate, and then just deliver somebody who's ready to get the consultation. And then the practitioner does the consultation, and they order the thing and they become a client. You make the microstrand, send it back to them, and then they take over that the relationship with the people, which would be kind of a dream come true for the practitioner, but would also be a way to really kind of remove variation and be the kind of you can maximize. There's a lot more efficiency in figuring out the very best practice for identifying people who want this and then delivering them to the moment where the physical presence is required.
I see. That's fascinating. I see it taking the principle and just moving it basically over, and all you're doing is separating.
Right.
What can I do? What can I not do? Yes.
Right. I would think that anything that you can do could be optimized, and that would change even the way that you're able to deliver. If you look at it right now, that if on average somebody is going to spend $2,500, is that? I mean, what's the average?
Yeah,
it goes from
average about $2,500. You hit it right on the head. It's about average.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if somebody's going to spend $2,500, if we take that $2,500 and then $100 a month for or $80 a month for the maintenance of it, what is the distribution of that $2,500? Let's call it $1,000, just so we get the
a round number. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Of what the how, if we take a pie chart and we're going to divide it up here, that what portion of the pie is the cost of the the actual manufacturing of the microstrand, what percentage is attributable to the consultation and sales process, what is the installation process, because that's time and effort on the practitioner's part, and what is the allocation that would be ideal for marketing, for cost of acquisition. How much of a acquisition budget do you have?
I see. Are you asking that question because I know
I'm asking that. I mean, do you know? Yeah, like if you need to find somebody, how much does it cost you to acquire a client?
You're right. I would have to sort of break that down. I would have to go, okay, what is my cost in percentage of the product? Let's say it's $1,000, for the microstrand. I have to break down, all right, you got $1,000. What's the percentage of what the microstrand, the finished microstrand costs, right?
Yeah.
What's the cost of me marketing it out of a percentage out of that $1,000? What's the cost of me having a salesperson or a consultant selling it and even ordering it, and break that down into percentages of the microstrand. And then that way I got my cost covered, and that way I offer to them. And now I'm really doing more of the service for them and letting them do just what they are good at doing. And that would be installing and maintaining.
Yes.
Fascinating. Wow. Okay, I see that completely. Yeah. And I would have to sort of break that down. I mean, I could shoot off the cuff and tell you what the cost is.
Yeah, but your job to experiment with this is you're basically, what we need to figure out is we need to get the scale-ready algorithm figured out, right? That you need to say, if your only job, if you were one practitioner, what's the idealized way to be that one practitioner? And then how could you provide, with as little variation as possible, that level of consistency in a duplicated way? Right? So how does it, what's the most effective way to find new clients? And how much does it cost? And how long is the process? What's the thing that's going to get that person to raise their hand? How long does it take from the time they raise their hand till the time that they decide, I might come in and do a free consultation on this, or I might come to a webinar to learn more about it and then go to a free consultation? And how many of the people that come in and sit down and get a price will follow through with it? How many will choose to do it versus choose not to do it? What's that?
Now you mean
conversion?
The affiliates? You mean the practitioner? You mean the practitioner or the affiliate? Yeah,
right.
Okay.
I mean, when you look at it, so they have some standards, they know that when you send them somebody, if you're just looking at it, that it's, that they have a scripted way of presenting this, that that's the best way, that there's little variation in that process, then, you're delivering people to that practitioner, and they get to do just the thing that they want to do, which is consult and install and maintain.
Maintain just those three things.
Yeah.
Right. And then
so
that will become more.
Yeah, I think that the good news is that once you've cracked the code, once you figure out what that is for one location, that now that's really what it then becomes about scaling. It becomes about scaling this predictable revenue stream that the practitioner is going to tap into to be able to, have a really easy new process that they have in their arsenal.
Right.
Is there
make it more? I'm sorry.
Is there any special requirement? Could this be done in a regular salon chair? You don't need a special environment to do it. It can happen in a regular salon environment, so they don't need to have any special chair or equipment or anything like that.
Yeah, to answer that question, it can be done in a regular environment. The only thing is when you're putting hair on, it's better to have some sort of privacy.
Right, exactly.
Much. I mean, you could even get one of those folding walls if you had to, just to do that.
Right.
Because people want to be privacy. But from a technical end, no. You just need a chair and you're doing hair, and you need this little board that you put up. So it's a very minor adjustment.
Yeah.
So that's pretty easy, Yeah. What I was going to ask you is, so this formula, if you will, this formula also makes it easier for affiliates, let's call them affiliates, to buy into this. Because sometimes I have problems, every day we have people contacting us. They want what's called a phone consultation, meaning the B2B. They get a phone call. They say, I want to know about this. I don't know what's involved, And I seem to get, without marketing it, a lot of smaller salons that are interested in this. But when I tell them $5,000 and I even give them sort of a payment plan, they're thrilled. But a lot of them aren't ready to do it yet because they're too small,
Yeah.
But then you're going to have to market it yet. So I think this would make it easier for them, because if I said, hey, listen, we do A, B, C, D, E for you, and you only do the rest.
Right. That's the whole thing. That way you're protecting what's in your best interest. They're protecting, and only have to do what's in their best interest. They don't have to now all of a sudden learn how to be a marketer too.
Right.
That's really the dream come true for both sides, Both sides would be if you could just expand all over and have your, you can do ultimately when you get your distribution network down, that, if you take all of, where are you, by the way?
I'm in New Jersey, about 1 mile from Manhattan. So
Okay.
I'm right outside of Manhattan, yeah.
Okay, great. So when you look at that, if you just took, even New Jersey or whatever, you take that idea that you've got a fully, you've got a network of licensed affiliates that are that you could then spread the word, get that on a top level, everybody aware of it, and people call you and get educated about the process and get sold on it. And then when it's necessary, when they're right at the time that they're ready, they can come into a consultation with one of your network of practitioners,
Right. So then also I would sort of prioritize. Let's say I would pick a geographical area. Like example, if I said, all right, I want to pick LA, I would pick LA, maybe start marketing it in LA to make it more known. Now
that's exactly right.
B2C standpoint and a B2B standpoint. Marketing LA, B2B, that this is available, and market it from a B2C standpoint that it's available.
Right.
And now,
so then you start to say we're in
that area.
Yeah. So then you're in, we're in Passaic County. We're moving over into Bergen County, and we're looking for some practitioners or whatever that goes.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Let me throw this idea at you too, because there was another idea that was a little bit of a derivative of this, a little baby derivative. We came up with the concept of InvisaBlend Home, and what I was interesting that you said this. It's so interesting because it was right in line. I was thinking the Uber principle because I'm fascinated with the Uber principle, and then the Uber principle was Uber, and now it's going into other areas. It's going into restaurants. I don't know if you know, there's an Uber for dogs called WAG.
That's great. Yeah.
You just look up and
no, I mean, you think about it. That's what we want. Is we exist in the cloud. That's where our whole world is. Everything is up there, and only the things that require. I've been calling it the mainland. The mainland.
The mainland. Okay.
I mean, it's like you can only eat food on the mainland. You can't eat your food in the cloud, right? You can build up your appetite. You can order it in the cloud. You can have that, but you're physically located on the mainland in your house, and so now all of these services are delivering the stuff right to you, so that you're, you don't have to go to the restaurant. We'll bring the food to you. And if this is something that could be, done, installed, and do the consultation and everything in somebody's home, that would be a win. I mean, amazing.
Yeah. So now watch this idea. That is exactly what I was talking about. So I called it InvisaBlend Home. So what I was thinking of doing is doing an InvisaBlend Home. Now what I would do is I would find individual hairdressers. See, in my industry, there's certain hairdressers that either rent chairs or they go to people's homes. And what I would do is, let's say I find a hairdresser and say, hey, listen, have your own job, part-time, anytime, part-time, full-time, anytime you want. It's almost like an Uber driver. When you hire an Uber driver, you go, okay, what days you want to work? What hours you want to work? It would be the same with the hairdressers. Say, run your own business.
It's your side hustle.
It's your side thing, whatever you want. And then what I would do is then say, okay, we're going to give you a little consultation kit. And what we're going to do is we're going to advertise InvisaBlend, and we're going to say, hey, we come to your home. So let's say I got, 5 hairdressers in LA, and they go to different areas in LA or different areas in California. And then we would book the consultation from my headquarters here. We would contact like an Uber driver, contact the hairdresser, and the hairdresser would go with a little mini kit into the home and do the presentation. Now,
well, actually, now that I think about it, this is where this may be an opportunity that you can separate the presentation from the installation. That it doesn't have to be the person who's installing it that is selling it.
Absolutely. You're right.
You could, right.
Right, so I don't
opens
actually
up.
need hairdressers. Yeah, I don't actually need hairdressers. I can just get regular people or anyone that likes to sell, because you don't need to be a hairdresser to present
That's
this.
exactly
To
right.
open up.
You can get
So
you could get salespeople. Right.
Right. Then I wanted to make an app, and I have a meeting with an app guy actually today. I wanted to make an app because the other part of this InvisaBlend Home, I would make an app, and the homeowner would go on the InvisaBlend Home app, and they would say, "Okay, Mary Jones is coming to your home today at 2:00. And by the way, now she's 15 minutes away," and just like an Uber driver, And it would even say something about Mary, Mary Jones, the consultant that's coming. She's been with the company this much, her background is this much. Just say they know something about her, just like when an Uber driver is going. I know this is Henry, the Uber driver, and he's been around this much, and he's got 4 stars or something like that. And now there's one more thing that I didn't tell you that ties right into this beautifully. When we were talking about the attachments, you were asking me about the attachments earlier in this conversation. I said, hey, there's 3. I only got down to 1. The other 2, there's one other main one. There's a way of doing this as a self-attachment that the client, the end user, actually attaches it, and they don't need the salon. Okay.
Wow.
And I do these attachments. I do these sales internationally. Like just yesterday, I was on the phone with somebody from Bangladesh, another one from India. So here's what we do. I'm sidetracking a little bit, and I'm going to go back into the Uber principle. So what we do is that we get a call because of the internet. We get a call from Bangladesh, and we say, okay, all you have to do is that send your pictures in of your hair, the front view, the top view, the sides, and the back, and then give me a time and date. So they send in the pictures, they text or they email us the pictures. We put it into our CRM system, the pictures. And now they got an appointment tomorrow or today at 5:00. And we get on the phone with them. We're looking at the pictures. We're actually able to do a consultation over the phone just by looking at the pictures. I give them price options. They pick it. They say, okay, I want the 8x6. They know what it costs. We order it. All I do is do DocuSign, send them the agreement. They sign it. Now I have a contract of what they bought. They know exactly what they bought and all the specs. And now when it comes in, we ship it to them. There's a self-applied way. I came up with these little thing called comb locks. Now remember, early in the conversation, I was explaining to you how we attach it. It's called strand locking, where we make the little ponytail anchors. Remember that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
In substitution of that, instead of attaching it with the little ponytail anchors, I came up with these little thing called comb locks. They're miniature combs that are about as big as your pinky nail. And they're little combs that when you push them, they flatten and they lock onto your hair. And then if you push the center, you can revert them and they unlock. And I designed a way of filling them with hair so you can't see them, and putting them underneath the microstrand, that web thing. So now they're part of the microstrand underneath it. And if you look down from the top, you don't see nothing but hair. So now, for the person that self-applies, all they do is put on this mushy microstrand, take a comb and comb the hair through the openings, feel for the combs, the comb locks, push them just a little notch, you push them a little bit, flatten them, and they lock. Now the client has the control. So almost think of this as, let's say L'Oreal. L'Oreal has hair color to professional salons only, and they also have another line for the supermarket. And why do they have 2 lines? Because there's a market for both. So that's how I think about InvisaBlend. I have the professional attachment where you have to go into the hair studio, and I also have the self-attachment where they can buy right over the phone. I could ship it to them with a video showing them how to apply it, which is real simple. And they apply it themselves. And the InvisaBlend Home thing we were talking about, the /Uber principle, that the consultant would just go to the home, give them a consultation, show them how the comb locks work. When the order comes in from my headquarters, I can just ship it to them, and they don't even need a technician to apply
There you
it
go.
and maintain it. You see what I mean? Makes
I
sense,
got it.
right? Yeah.
It really does.
So the principle
You know,
sort
you're
of
going to be
remains the same.
you're going to be rich.
Yes. Yeah, my objective is just, it's such a terrific feeling to get it out there, you know, because
I love
people
it.
enjoy this so much. And the more I get it out there, the more rewarding it is, you know, to get it out there more. So this is sort of like a double prong approach. I could do it from the standpoint of what you said, the cloud principle, to the professional, and I can also do the InvisaBlend home and do it in 2 ways. It's fascinating.
So much opportunity.
Oh, there's a lot. There's so much. Yes, it's mind-stimulating. My brain's bubbling right now.
Yeah. We've been talking for an hour and 20 minutes about this.
20 minutes.
We're a little bit,
I know.
You're a little bit over here, but
a little bit over. Okay.
No, that's great. I really enjoyed this conversation. What's your kind of 60-second summary of what's the takeaway for you from this?
You know, the biggest takeaway, I never, even though I had the InvisaBlend home principle in my head, I didn't think about taking that same principle and parlaying it over to the salon owner, the professional, the actual brick and mortar place. You know what I mean? And that's what you opened my mind to. You opened my mind. And I had the principle in one area, but I didn't think about it in the other area. You see?
That's
so
great.
My biggest
I love
takeaway is to take the cloud principle and parlay it over to the area of the salon, because there's a market for both. There's a market for doing it in the home, and there's a market for also the salon owner, let's say, any kind of hair company
having options
for doing it
is always good.
And having options. Oh yeah. And that fits right into my help the widest amount of people. And I mean that by both help the widest amount of businesses and help the widest amount of individuals. And that's my biggest goal, is to help. I believe this, it was from Jim Rohn. He says, find the way to help the largest amount of people, and you become the greater. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
The wider amount of people you can help, the greater you become.
Now, how do people find out about this? Where can they go?
Well, the best thing to go is my website. So my website is InvisaBlend, www, of course. InvisaBlend spelled INVISA, like Invisa, and then blend, BLEND. So InvisaBlend.com. And I came up with the word because it's sort of invisible blending.
Great name. It's a really great name. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. So they go to InvisaBlend.com, and there's tons of videos. Like, I'm heavy into educating. So if they go on, there's tons of videos.
Maybe we'll help some of the people who are listening. Maybe somebody who may want to take advantage of this, or other people who may want to think about being a practitioner. So
absolutely. Okay.
I had a great time. You got a really cool you got a really cool business. I love you're very passionate about it, and it's really interesting. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I thank you so much. This is a very stimulating conversation, and I thank you for the 90-minute book, because that was thrilling for me too. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Well, we'll talk soon.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks, Dino.
Bye. Bye.
And there we have it. Another great episode. That was really fun. I mean, Dino's, you can tell he's very passionate about it. It really has a heart to help people. And it really comes down to, as most things do, really just getting in touch with what is the minimum unit here. How can we get this scale-ready algorithm? You hear me say those words. In order to expand anything, you have to really refine the thing that you are expanding. So that means we've got to be able to find one person who has thinning hair, who would love to explore this as an option, connect them with somebody who can help them and thread there we go, thread the hairs all the way through this process here. And this idea of removing the variation by taking on as many of those micro steps as you can creates a win-win, a dream come true scenario for both sides. So there we have it. I really enjoyed that. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can, happy to have you join us. Just go to morecheeselesswhiskers.com and click on the Be a Guest link. Tell me a little bit about your business and we can hatch some evil schemes for you. That's it for this week. I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.